Hello, Shalom. Welcome to day 102 of the Daily Bread. We'll be continuing our journey in Leviticus chapter 23, 1 Kings chapter 8, Psalms 101, Proverbs 12, and from the book of John, New Testament, Gospel, book of John, chapter 19. We'll be reading out of the Scriptures 2009 version. Leviticus chapter 23 on page 129. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, the appointed times of Yahweh, which in Genesis chapter 1, verse, what was that? Sorry, this was not planned. Chapter 1, verse 14. And Elohim said, Let the lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens, to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs of appointed times, for the days and years. So appointed times. And the appointed times of Yahweh, which you are to proclaim as set-apart gatherings. My appointed times are these. 6 days work is done, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of rest, a set-apart gathering. You do no work. It is a Sabbath to Yahweh in all your dwellings. These are the appointed times of Yahweh, set-apart gathering which you are to proclaim at their appointed times. In the first new moon, on the 14th day of the new moon, between the evening, is the Pesach to Yahweh, Passover. And on the 15th day of this new moon is the festival of matzah, unleavened bread, to Yahweh. 7 days you eat unleavened bread. On the first day you have a set-apart gathering, you do no servile work. And you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh for 7 days. On the seventh day it is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, When you come into the land which I give you, and shall reap its harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh for your acceptance. On the morrow, after the Sabbath, the priest waves it. And the day when you wave the sheaf, you shall prepare a male lamb, a year old, a perfect one, as an ascending offering to Yahweh. And its grain offering, 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour with oil, an offering made by fire to Yahweh, a sweet fragrance, and its drink offering, 1/4 of a hin of wine. And you do not eat bread, or roasted grain, or fresh grain, until the same day that you have brought an offering to your Elohim, a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. And from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, you shall count for yourselves 7 completed Sabbaths, so 49 days. Until the morrow after the 7th Sabbath, you count 50 days. Then you shall bring a new grain offering to Yahweh. Bring from your dwelling for a wave offering 2 loaves of bread, and 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour. They are baked with leaven, first fruits to Yahweh. And besides the bread you shall bring 7 lambs, a year old, perfect ones, and a young bull and 2 rams. They are an ascending offering to Yahweh, with their grain offering and their drink offering, and an offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And you shall offer 1 male goat as a sin offering, and 2 male lambs a year old as a slaughter of peace offering. And the priest shall wave them besides the bread of the first fruits as a wave offering before Yahweh, besides the 2 lambs. They are set apart to Yahweh for the priest. And on this same day you shall proclaim a set apart gathering for yourselves. You do no servile work on it. A law forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. And when you reap the harvest of your land, do not completely reap the corners of your field when you reap, and do not gather any gleanings from your harvest. Leave them for the poor and for the sojourn. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th new moon, on the 1st day of the new moon, you have a rest, a remembrance to Taru, a set apart gathering. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, set apart gathering. You do no servile work. You shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, On the 10th day of the 7th new moon is Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. It shall be set apart gathering for you, and you shall afflict your beings, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. And you do no work on that day. For it is Yom Kippur. You make atonement for you before Yahweh your Elohim. For any being who is not afflicted on the same day, he shall be cut off from his people. So fasting. And any being who does any work on that same day, that being shall be destroyed from the midst of his people. You do no work, a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It is Sabbath of rest to you, and you shall afflict your beings. On the 9th day of the new moon at evening, from evening to evening, you observe your Sabbath. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, On the 15th day of the 7th new moon is a festival of Sukkot, booths, for 7 days to Yahweh. On the 1st day is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. For 7 days you bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. On the 8th day there shall be a set-apart gathering for you, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a closing festival. You do no servile work. These are the appointed times of Yahweh, which you proclaim as set-apart gatherings, to bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh, an ascending offering and a grain offering, a slaughtering and a drink offering, as commanded for every day. Besides the Sabbaths of Yahweh, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and besides all your voluntary offerings, which you give to Yahweh. On the 15th day of the 7th new moon, when you shall gather in the fruit of the land, celebrate the festival for Yahweh for 7 days. On the 1st day is a rest, and on the 8th day is a rest. And you shall take for yourselves on the 1st the fruits of good trees, branches of palm trees, twigs, leafy trees, and willows of the stream, and shall rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim for 7 days. And you shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahweh for 7 days in the law, 7 days in the year. A law forever in your generation. Celebrate it in the 7th new moon. Dwell in booths for 7 days. All you who are native born in Israel, dwell in booths. And so that your generations know that I made the children of Israel dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Mizraim. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Thus did Moshe speak of the appointed times of Yahweh to the children of Israel. Moving on to 1 Kings chapter 8. Then Solomon king assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the chief fathers of the children of Israel, to sovereign Solomon in Jerusalem, and to bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahweh from the city of David, which is in Zion. And all the men of Israel assembled to sovereign Elohim at the festival in the month of Ethanim, which is in the 7th new moon. And all the elders of Israel came, and the priests took up the ark, and brought up the ark of Yahweh, and the tent of appointment, and all the set apart utensils that were in the tent. And the priests and the Levites brought them up, and sovereign Solomon and all the congregation of Israel who had assembled with him were with him before the ark, slaughtering so many sheep and cattle that they could not be counted or numbered. And the priests brought in the ark of the covenant of Yahweh to its place, into the speaking place of the house, up to the most high set apart place, under the wings of the cherubim. For the cherubim spread 2 wings over the ark of the Elohim, and the cherubim covered over the ark and its poles, and the poles extended so that the ends of the poles were seen from the set apart place in front of the speaking place. But they were not seen from outside, and they are there to this day. There was not in the ark only the 2 tablets of stone which Moshe put there at Horeb, where Yahweh made a covenant with the children of Israel when they came out of the land of Mizraim. And it came to be, when the priests came out of the set apart place, that the cloud filled the house of Yahweh. So the priests were unable to stand and perform the service because of the cloud, for the esteem of Yahweh filled the house of Yahweh. And Solomon said, Yahweh has said he would dwell in the dark cloud. I have indeed built you an exalted house, and established place for you to dwell in forever. And the sovereign turned around and blessed all the assembly of Israel, while all the assembly of Israel was standing. And he said, Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Israel, who spoke with his mouth to my father David, and with his hand as has filled it, saying, Since the day I brought my people Israel out of Mizraim, I have chosen no city from any tribe of Israel in which to build a house for my name to be there. But I chose David to be over my people Israel. And it was in the heart of my father David to build a house for the name of Yahweh, Elohim of Israel. But Yahweh said to my father David, Because it has been in your heart to build a house in my name, you did well that it was in your heart. Only you do not build the house, but your son, who is coming from your loins. He does build the house for my name. Now Yahweh has established his word, which he spoken. And I have raised up instead of my father David, and sit on the throne of Israel, as Yahweh had promised, and built a house for the name of Yahweh Elohim of Israel. And I have appointed there a place for the ark, where is the covenant of Yahweh, which he made with our fathers, when he brought them out of the land of Mizraim. And Solomon stood before the slaughter place of Yahweh, in front of the assembly of Israel, and spread out his hands toward the heavens, and said, Yahweh Elohim of Israel, there is no Elohim in the heavens above or on earth below like you, guarding your covenant and your loving commitment with your servants, who walk before you with all their heart, who has guarded that which you did promise your servant David, my father. Indeed, you have both spoken with your mouth and filled it with your hand, as it is this day. And now, Yahweh Elohim of Israel, guard what you promised your servant David, my father, saying, There is not to cease a man of yours before me sitting on the throne of Israel. Only if your sons guard their ways to walk before me as you have walked before me. And now, O Elohim of Israel, please let your word come true, which you have spoken to your servant David, my father. For it is true, Elohim dwells on the earth. See, the heavens and the heavens of the heavens are unable to contain you. How much less this house would I have built? Yet shall you turn to the prayer of your servant and his supplication, O Yahweh, my Elohim, and listen to the cry and prayer which your servant is praying before you today? For your eyes to be opened toward this house, night and day, toward the place of which you said, My name is there, to listen to the prayer which your servant makes towards the place. Then shall you hear the supplication of your servant and of your people, Israel, when they pray toward this place. When you hear in their dwelling place, in their heavens, and shall you hear and forgive. If anyone sins against his neighbor, he has lifted up an oath on him to cause him to swear, and come and swears before your slaughter place in this house. Then hear in the heavens and act and rightly rule your servants, declaring the wrongdoer wrong, bringing his way on his head, and declaring the righteous right by giving him according to his righteousness. When your people Israel are smitten before the enemy, because they have sinned against you, and they shall not turn back to you and confess your name, and pray and make supplication to you in this house. Then hear in the heavens, and forgive the sins of your people Israel, and bring them back to the land which Yahweh gave to their fathers. When the heavens are shut up, and there is no rain because they sinned against you, when they pray toward this place, and confess your name, and turn from their sin, because you afflicted them, then hear in the heavens and forgive the sin of your servants, your people Israel, for you teach them the good way in which they should walk, and shall give rain on your land, which you have given to your people as an inheritance. When there is a scarcity of food in the land, then there is pestilence, blight, mildew, locusts, grasshoppers. When their enemy distresses them in the land of their cities, any plague, any sickness. Whatever prayer, whatever supplication made by any one of your people Israel, each knowing the plague of his own heart, and shall spread out his hands towards this house, then hear in the heavens their dwelling place, and forgive and act and resend unto everyone according to all his ways, whose heart you know, because you alone know the hearts of all the sons of men. So that they feared you all the days that they live in the land, which you gave to our fathers. Also concerning a foreigner, who is not of your people, Israel, but has come from a far land for your name's sake. Since they hear of your great name, and your strong hand, and your outstretched arm, and he shall come and pray towards this house. Here in the heavens, here in the heavens, your dwelling place, and do according to all for which the foreigner calls to you, so that all people on the earth know your name and fear you, as do your people Israel, and know that this house which I have built is called by your name. When your people go out to battle against their enemy in the way that you send them, and they shall pray to Yahweh toward the city which you have chosen, and towards the house which I have built for your name, then shall you hear in the heavens their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause. When they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin, and you become enraged with them, and give them up to the enemy, and they take them captive to the land of the enemy, far or near. And they shall turn back unto my heart in the land where they have been taken captive, and shall turn and make supplication to you in the land of those who took them captive, saying, We have sinned and acted crookedly, we have committed wrong. And they shall turn back to you with all their heart and with all their being in the land of their enemies, who led them away captive, and shall pray to you toward their land, which you gave to their fathers, the city which you have chosen, and the house which I have built for your name. And then shall you hear in the heavens, your dwelling place, their prayer and the supplication, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people who have sinned against you, and all their transgressions which they have transgressed against you, and give them compassion before those who took them captive, and they shall have compassion on them. For they are your people and your inheritance, whom you brought out of Mizraim, out of the iron furnace. Let your eyes be open to the supplication of your servant and the supplication of your people Israel, to listen to them whenever they call to you. For you have separated them unto yourself for an inheritance out of all the peoples of the earth, as you spoke by the hand of your servant Moshe, when you brought our fathers out of Mizraim, O Master Yahweh. And it came to be, when Solomon had ended praying all this prayer and supplication to Yahweh, that he rose up from before the slaughter place, from kneeling on his knees with his hands spread up to the heavens. He stood and blessed all the assembly of Israel with a loud voice, saying, Blessed be Yahweh, who has given rest to his people Israel, according to all that he promised. There has not one failed word of all. His word good. His good word, which he promised through his servant Moshe. Yahweh our Elohim is with us, as he was with our fathers. He does not leave us nor forsake us, to incline our hearts to himself, to walk in all his ways, and to guard his commands, and his laws, and his right rulings, and which he commanded our fathers. And let those words of mine, which I have made supplication before Yahweh, be near Yahweh our Elohim day and night, to maintain the cause of his servant and cause of his people Israel. The matter of each day in its day, so that all the people of the earth might know that Yahweh is Elohim. There is no one else. Let your heart therefore be perfect to Yahweh our Elohim, to walk in his laws and guard his commands, as at this day. And the sovereign and all the Israel with him slaughterings before Yahweh. And Solomon slaughtered slaughterings of peace offering, which he slaughtered to Yahweh 22,000 bulls, and 120,000 sheep. Thus the sovereign and all the children of Israel dedicated the house of Yahweh. On that day the sovereign set apart the middle of the courtyard that was in front of the house of Yahweh. For there he made a sending offering, and the grain offering, and the fat of the peace offering, which the bronze slaughter place that was before Yahweh was too small to contain the ascending offering, and the grain offering, and the fat of peace offering. And Solomon at that time performed the festival, and all Israel with him. A great assembly from the entrance of Hathmath to the Wadi of Mistram before Yahweh our Elohim 7 days and 7 days and 7 days, 14 days. On the 8th day he sent the people away, and they blessed the sovereign, and went to their tents, rejoicing and glad of heart for all the goodness that Yahweh had done for his servant David, and for Israel his people. Moving on to Psalms 101. I think I'm on 2. Hold on. Gotta check something here. Sorry, 102. Psalms 102 on 703. Page 703. O Yahweh, hear my prayer, and let my cry come to you. Do not hide your face from me in the day of my distress. Incline your ear to me. In the day I call, answer me speedily. For my days are consumed like smoke, and my bones are burned like a hearth. My heart is stricken and withered like grass, for I have forgotten to eat my bread. Because of the sound of my sighing, my bones have cleaved to my flesh. I have been like a pelican of the wilderness. I have been like an owl of the desert. I have watched, and I am as a bird alone on the housetop. My enemies reproach me all day long. Those who rave against me have sworn against me. For I have eaten ashes like bread, and mixed my drink with tears, because of your displeasure and your wrath, for you have lifted me up and thrown me down. My days are like the shadow that lengthens, but I am withered away like grass. But you, Yahweh, O Yahweh, shall be enthroned forever, and the remembrance of you be to all generations. You yourself shall arise and have compassion on Zion, for the time to favor her. The appointed time has come, for your servants have been pleased with her stones, and they favor her dust. And the nations shall fear the name of Yahweh, and all the sovereigns of the earth your esteem. For Yahweh shall build up Zion, and he shall appear in his esteem. He shall turn unto the prayer of the destitute. He shall not despise their prayer. It is written for a generation to come, so that the people who created be created praise Yah. For he looked down from the height of his set apart place. From the heaven Yahweh viewed the earth, to hear the groaning of the prisoner, to release those appointed to death, to declare the name of Yahweh in Zion, and his praise in Jerusalem. When peoples gather together, and reigns to serve Yahweh, as he humbled my strength in the way. He has shortened my days. I said, O my El, do not take away in the midst of my days, for years are throughout all generations. Your years are throughout all generations. You did found the earth of old, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They shall perish, but you remain, and all of them grow old like a garment. You change them like a coat, and they are changed. But you are the same, and your years have no end. The sons of your servants continue, and their seed is established before you. Where am I at? Proverbs 12, on page 739. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. The good obtains favor from Yahweh, but the man of wicked devices he declares wrong. A man is not established by wrongness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. A capable wife is the crown of her husband, but one causing shame is like rottenness in his bone. The thoughts of the righteous are right ruling. The counsels of the wrong are deceit. The words of the wrong are lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the straight delivers them. The wrong are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous stands. A man is praised according to his wisdom, but the perverted of heart becomes despised. Better is to be lightly esteemed and have a servant than the highly esteemed who lacks bread. The righteous regards the life of his beast, but the compassion of the wrong is cruelty. He who tills his land is satisfied with bread, but he who pursues vanities is lacking heart. The wrong shall covet the catch of evildoers, but the root of the righteous yields fruit. In the transgression of the lips is an evil snare, but the righteous gets out of distress. From the fruit of his mouth one is filled with good, and the work of a man's hands is given back to him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who listens to advice is wise. A fool's wrath is known at once, but a clever one covers shame. He who speaks truth declares righteousness, but a false witness deceit. Rash speaking is like piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is healing. The lip of truth is established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of those who plot evil, but counselors of peace have joy. No harm befalls the righteous, but the wrong shall be filled with evil. Lying lips are an abomination to Yahweh, but those who deal truly are his delight. A clever man is concealing knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaims folly. The hand of the hard worker rules, but the lazy one is put to compulsory labor. Anxiety in the heart of man causes depression, but a good word makes him glad. The righteous is a guide to his neighbor, but the way of the wrong leads them astray. The lazy one has no game to roast, but the hard worker prizes his possessions. And the way of righteous is life, and in its pathway there is no death. Book of John 19 on page 1047. I have when reading through the Gospels, there's certain parts of them I have issues with. They get emotional. So, chapter 19 of Book of John is on page 1047. Then therefore Pilate took Yeshua and flogged him. And the soldiers plaited a crown of thorns and placed it on his head. And they put a purple robe on him and came to him and said, "Greetings, sovereign of the Judeans." And they slapped him in the face. And Pilate went outside again and said to them, "See, I am bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no guilt in him." Then Yeshua came outside, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate said to them, "See the man," capital M there. And when the chief priests and officers saw him, they shouted, "Impale, impale." Pilate said to them, "You take him and impale him, for I find no guilt in him." The Judean answered, "We have a law, and according to our law he ought to die, for he has made himself the sovereign of the Elohim. And when Pilate heard this word, he was more afraid, and went back into the palace, and asked Yeshua, "Where are you from?" But Yeshua gave him no answer. Then Pilate said to him, Do you not speak to me? Do you not know that I possess authority to impale you, and I possess authority to release you? And Yeshua answered, You would possess no authority against me if I were not given you from above. Because of this, he who has delivered me to you has greater sin. From then on, Pilate was seeking to release him, but the Judeans shouted, saying, If you release this one, you are not Caesar's friend. Everyone who makes himself a sovereign does speak against Caesar. Therefore, when Pilate heard these words, he brought Yeshua out and sat down in the judgment seat of the palace that is called Pavement, but in Hebrew, Gabbath. And it was preparation day for the Pesach week. And about the 6th hour, and he said to the Judeans, See your sovereign. And they shouted, Away, away, impale him. Pilate said to them, Shall I impale your sovereign? And the chief priests answered, We have no sovereign except Caesar. At this time, when he delivered him up to them to be impaled, and they took Yeshua and led him away. I'll pause here for a second. Earlier in the week, Yeshua comes in on a donkey, basically to a parade. They're all shouting, Hosanna, Hosanna, King David, son of David. They're praising him. We're like a week into this, and they're wanting to impale him. I often wonder, because we are such a fickle people, if some of those same people who were there cheering him on are also now here cheering for this. And bearing his stake, Yeshua, he went out to the so-called place of the skull, which is in Hebrew called Gololoth, was a stake and a cross. 200 years later, the cross would come, where they impaled him, and 2 others with him, one on this side and one on that side, and Yeshua in the middle. And Pilate wrote a title too, and put it on the stake, and it was written, Yeshua of Nazareth, the sovereign of the Judeans. Many of the Judeans therefore read this title, for the place where Yeshua was impaled was near the city, and it was written in Hebrew, Greek, and in Roman. So the chief priest of the Judeans said, Do not write this, the sovereign of the Judeans, but he said, I am the sovereign of the Judeans. Pilate answered, What I have written, I have written. Then the soldiers, when they had impaled Yeshua, took his outer garments and made 4 parts, to each soldier a part, and the inner garment, but the inner garment was without seam, woven from the top in one piece. So they said to each other, Let us not tear it, but cast lots for it, whose it shall be, in order for the scripture might be filled, which says, They divided my garments among them, and from my clothing they cast lots. Psalms 22:18. The soldiers therefore indeed did this. And by the stake of Yeshua stood his mother, and his mother's sister, Miriam, the wife of Cleophas, and Miriam of Magdala. And then Yeshua, seeing his mother, and the taught one whom he loved standing by, he said to his mother, Woman, see your son. Then to the taught one he said, see your mother. And from that hour, that taught one took her to his own home. After this, Yeshua, knowing that all had been accomplished, in order that the scriptures might be accomplished, said, I thirst. And a bowl of sour wine stood there, and they filled the sponge with sour wine, put it on hyssop, and held it to his mouth. Pause there for a second. I know we're long here. We're 40 minutes in. Back when they were having the Pesach dinner, the Last Supper, right? Yeshua says to them, what ran? The vine. Where is it? In 17. I think it's in 17. Hold on. I think it's in 17, but it may be, I'm not sure where. I can't put my finger on it. But earlier, Yeshua says at the Last Supper, the Pesach dinner, Passover dinner, when he gives them the wine, he says, this will be the last time I drink from the fruit until his Father's reign. Until the Father's reign. And here we are. He's given the bowl of sour wine. Okay. And a bowl of sour wine stood there, and they filled the sponge with sour wine and put it on hyssop and held it to his mouth. And when Yeshua took the sour wine, he said, it has been accomplished. And bowing his head, he gave up his spirit. He gave up his spirit. They didn't kill him. He gave up his spirit. Therefore, since it was preparation day, the body should not remain on the stake. And on the Shabbat, for the Sabbath was a high one. The Judean asked Pilate to have their legs broken and that they be taken away. Therefore the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first and the other who were impaled with him. But when they came to Yeshua and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. In Leviticus 11 and in Exodus 12, the slaughtering of the sheep, of the lamb, no broken bone. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with the spear, and instantly blood and water came out. And he who has seen has witnessed, and his witness is true. And he knows that he was speaking the truth in order that you might believe. For this took place in order for the scripture to be filled. Not one of his bones shall be broken, Psalms 34:29. And again, another scripture says, they shall look on him whom they pierced, Ezekiel 12:10. And after this, Joseph of Rathmanim, being a taught one of Yeshua, but secretly, for the fear of the Judean, asked Pilate that he might take the body of Yeshua, and Pilate gave permission. Therefore he came and took the body of Yeshua. And Nicodemus, who at first came to Yeshua by night, also came, bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pounds. And they took the body of Yeshua and bound it in linen wrapping with the spices, as was the habit of the Judean for burial. And at that place where he was impaled, there was a garden, And in that garden was a fresh tomb in which no one had yet been laid. There then, because of the preparation day of the Yudim, they had laid Yeshua because the tomb was near. Shalom. Make it a great day. Read your Bible. Talk to the Father.